So the Earth needs this as its shield. Go ahead and give people the science.
It basically says that now, first of all, you have to understand that carbon dioxide itself cannot trap much more heat. Very, very small percentage, a couple percent, and that's about it. Because it's the wavelengths, the wave bands that it traps heat in are already saturated, so it cannot do much more. Therefore, the little that it does do, they claim, are going to create more clouds, more thunderstorms, which when they decay, they create more cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds trap the heat. Low elevation rain clouds reflect the heat, or the sun. Just the opposite. It's a negative feedback. In a positive feedback in the cirrus clouds, the radiation emitted by the Earth is trapped again and remitted down. That means that the upper atmosphere heats faster than the Earth's surface. And this is well explained in our second DVD, the Emerging Science, Global Warming Emerging Science DVD that Alex now has. It is absolutely night and day. What the models predict was going to happen the last 40 to 50 years, and what has actually happened, they're not the same at all. It's like
Dr. Coffman, explain this to me, though, because there's other big major films like the Great Global Warming Swindle. They have all these climatologists and scientists and physicists from around the world, literally the top names. There's now 37,000 of them have sent a letter and petition to the government. The government won't even read it, won't allow them in testimony. Only Al Gore, who lies and says he invented everything from Kitty Hawk to fire, is the only expert up there. He openly owns one of the carbon companies and said, "What's wrong with me making money?" I mean, it's the outrageousness of this. But also they say it's not just the heat from the sun; it's that different type of nuclei, particles, come into the atmosphere. Can you explain that?
Yes, there's two, and it's again explained in much better graphics than it did in the first one in this new Emerging Science DVD. Really shows very clearly it's not the total amount of energy that the sun emits, but the kind of energy. You have incoming cosmic radiation from exploding supernovae from out in the galaxy and so forth that eventually get to Earth. Those, and it's been shown in experiments now to be correct, those cosmic radiation particles, when they enter the Earth's surface or enter the Earth's atmosphere, they start to condense out and ionize and create water droplets. When they create water droplets, clouds eventually form, and when you have clouds, low elevation clouds, if you've ever flown an airplane above these clouds, it is a bright white. That's because the sun is reflecting off of those clouds.
Now, let me understand. So it's almost like just the space rays, not just the sun's rays, and this whole spectrum of different particles come in like microscopic meteorites and create almost a energy field, which then generates the nuclei to allow the rain droplets to form. So it's a beautiful it's a beautiful engine. It's not a crime, and carbon dioxide's what plants breathe. It's not a chemical weapon that'll kill you. Water's good. Oxygen's good. It's not with Al-Qaeda.
Absolutely. In fact, we can probably have 300 to 400% increase in our carbon dioxide, and the Earth would be much better off for it. Both plant productivity, food production, and it will not hurt us.
In fact, I've seen those studies that during some of the warming periods with the dinosaurs were the most plentiful, that it was many times higher and that the Earth was much more tropical.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably about 10 times greater concentration during that period of time. And the Earth was much more tropical. Vegetation was flourishing and abundant. And every time, in fact, the science has actually shown that there's been a 12% increase in food production, global food production, because of the increased carbon dioxide we've had the last 50 years. There's nothing negative about carbon dioxide. It's all positive, but yet they're calling it a pollutant, and because it's a pollutant, then they can control our lives.
But I've done the dihydrogen monoxide joke with people at restaurants on the street, and I tend to go out with a camera and do it, because you can say, hey, we need to restrict carbon dioxide, right? And they go, yes, it's evil. And I go, what about dihydrogen monoxide? It's in the water. And almost every adult, even people in suits downtown, will go, yes, ban it. It's water. I assure the viewers, people that support this, that water is not bad.
Absolutely. It is amazing. We have been so sensitized in our educational process that anything chemical is bad for us. Well, I'm afraid anything that we eat, drink, or otherwise is chemical, And the fact that we have this aversion to the name chemical is been ingrained in us in our educational process, in the television ads, all the rest of it, so that we just coil away from it, and we shouldn't. We have to understand what it is and then treat it accordingly.
Well, what about the brainwashing? Did you know that there are scores of video games where the zombies are carbon dioxide blobs and the kids shoot them, and then it's just total brainwashing in the schools? And the New York Times reports that kids go home and write mock tickets to their mother because they take a hot bath, and the mother goes, I'm glad they're ordering me around this. I mean, they're turning us into a total Stasi society. What about the Green Bill with the home inspections and the federal language about they can kick you out of your house, no judge, no jury? This is total tyranny. It is total tyranny, and you and I and others have been warning the people for 15 years or more about this very thing. It's now right in front of us, and we have the last opportunity to stop it by calling your congressmen and senators and saying, no, I'm going to throw you out of office if you vote for these things. And there's just not one thing. There's a dozen of them out there. It would be best if we just shut down Congress and they didn't do anything for 4 years. I agree. Now, for those that don't know, dihydrogen monoxide is the scientific term for water. And I was just making the point that ask your friends or family, but put it in a carbon dioxide debate. Say, for the environment, shouldn't we have a carbon tax on dihydrogen monoxide? You can also give them the scientific name for salt. And 9 times out of 10, they'll say ban it. And right. Now you said there's about a dozen. There's the climate change bill, the carbon tax bills, the Clean Water Restoration Act. There's the rewilding. All these things you warned about, they're now trying to ram through right now because they think Obama's got control of the entire government. Tell us about some of the things that they're trying to push through. Well, I think that the water bill, the Clean Water Bill reenactment is really dangerous. It basically you're talking about our economy with the cap and trade legislation. With the water, you're taking control over water, which you need every single day to live. And if the federal government controls the water of every acre of land in the United States, it controls you and I, period. I mean, it controls our crop production, it controls everything. And as a consequence, you look at what these bills do, and every single one of them draws control over a basic thing in our society that we need to have to live. And once that is done, then the federal government basically controls us. You have no choice in the matter. You have to do what they say, just like they did in the old Soviet Union, or you're thrown out of your house, you're prevented from buying food, you name it. And I'm not saying it's going to happen next year, but they have that potential. They have the right to do it now once these laws pass. And there has been no time in all of history where a bad bill like that has been passed, legislation, been in the Roman Empire or whatever, that it hasn't been abused. Well, listen, I have the head I have the head of City Year, federally funded, these youth brigades in red and black uniforms. People can Google City Year and watch them doing their chanting and drilling. And where everything's so bankrupt now, you have to get a job with the government out of high school doing this. And it says, I have national newscasts saying they're going to have quasi-governmental groups, mainly young, stupid, ignorant, power-tripping young people. And it already has shown them on the news that say climate police out shouting people down like Mao Zedong's youth brigades. Actually, that's how they're modeled. And they even have little blue Obama books that they carry. And just like in China, I'm not making this up, I have the newscast, waving them as they scream at you. And already in Austin, if you park an SUV by Barton Springs, they are slashing tires. They're out there enforcing. I mean, folks, I'm not kidding when I say they're already here. And I have the head of City Year saying they're going to use them to enforce on us. I mean, This is nightmarish, Dr. Coffman. It is. Brown shirts under Hitler, the Red Brigade in China, you name it. We're following the same pattern of all these despots in the past. Can't we see that? We have been warning about it for years, decades even, and here it is. It's at our doorstep, and everybody's yawning. Well, not everybody in the listening audience, I doubt that, but for the most part, society is yawning, and I just cannot believe how they could be missing. That everything is going to work out all right, honey. Don't worry about it. It's going to work out. Those people will never do anything like that.
Well, I'm sorry, folks. History shows that those people will do exactly what we're talking about given the opportunity, and they are creating that opportunity right now.
Well, they say they're going to wall off all the major NAFTA highways and keep, half the... I mean, you've put together the maps off their own documents where half the country's off limits to us, and everywhere they get control, they are rewilding. They are all over the West harassing people off their own property. I mean, this is going on.
It is. It really is. We haven't heard a lot about it in the major urban areas because they have deliberately basically compartmentalized everything in this country so that we do not hear what's going on in another part of the country. I go and talk to different groups in different parts of the country, and they think that they're the only ones this is happening to. It's happening to everyone. And we need to, our property rights are being destroyed. You have the Kelo case back in 2005 that basically changed the Fifth Amendment from public use to public purpose.